This is the epitome of modern political leaders. And this is how we stop them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a photo of Pete Buttigieg. He's our transportation secretary. He's smart. He's clever. He is very measured in what he says. It's politically calculated. It's rarely with any passion. It's to get away with just so much. The finger to the wind political possibilities. What he does is also about what he can get away with, like being at home on paternity leave on our payroll for nearly 2 months to be with his husband and their newborn. Meanwhile, the supply chain is probably worse than any time since the 1930s. But our transportation secretary, this is who the modern leadership exalt. And that modern leadership was high in the Trump administration. They become higher in the Biden administration. They're not necessarily elected. They are bureaucrats in power who pull a lot of strings. How do you stop this? By being independent and voting independent wherever possible, which is almost everywhere because the write-in is an option in almost every ballot. So the write-in is not going to get elected, but it's a statement by you of how you disavow both political parties and how you eschew every candidate who's choosing to be tethered to one of them. Independents are, I think, the best way to save our political process. If elected, odds are very long, but if elected, that's where multiple parties, not just two, can really work to get better results. We won't be, doing it just because the other guys are for it, we're going to be against. There's going to have to be alliances. It works in most Western countries. There's 4 or 5 parties. They have to form coalitions to get things done. That would be a very good thing here. What about getting elected? Independents right now, the odds are really, really long. But voting for that third party person or the true independent is a statement that you don't want to see either of the other parties win, that it's more important to vote against the mob of elites in both parties than it is to see one over the other and the crappy system continue. I was campaigning and met now my second Indian American with the same sentiments. We left the garbage, he says, to come here, and we're becoming now here in the United States like what I left. That is really sad. And there was a sense in me of, call it chauvinism, that we had a reason to feel good about America being better than all the rest. That hasn't carried through. I can't say that my country right now is better than the rest. And the difference is not the people, it's not the businesses, it's not the education system, it is the government's fault. And thankfully, we can change the government pretty well. The modern elites that we've been electing and keeping in the high bureaucracy, they don't fight anything well. Our government does almost nothing well. What they choose to do now is manage conflict. Hence, 20-year wars in Afghanistan where we can't even beat a bunch of goat herders. Hence, them wiping their hands of it because it's too messy or they have too much to lose. Back to Buttigieg. The ports that right now are swollen with ships outside waiting to unload their cargo. And we have this management to turn over the next 3 weeks. The process to be 24/7 unloading. Right now there's only one shift. Why can't you go to 3? You can! That's what any normal business does when there's opportunity to, 1, make money, 2, serve more customers. That's, without government, a no-brainer. But we're so tied in with regulations that they can't seem to let loose. Well, it's time to return to the free market. And that means putting the elites in government in their place. The government is the enemy of free market. Letting free markets do what they do best allows us to have lower prices, faster goods to us, more choices in goods. Let the modern politician do very little. And most independents are running for that proposition. To not be part of that slow clog that looks out for themselves and doesn't look out for the rest of us.